Welcome to Whatif Tutorials. This tutorial covers product configuration. By product configuration, I am referring to the ability to configure products to customer specification. In this tutorial, we'll be covering the specification of dimensions used, the creation of item lists, and the usage of formulae in bills of material. First, select Configurator from the costing menu, then select Assign Symbols to Dimensions. There are 26 symbols available for assignment to dimensions. Also, these symbols are available to assign to absolute values, such as pi. Let's take one of these symbols, L for length. If we edit it, we can see that L has been assigned to length. It is given a sequence. This sequence is used to list the dimensions in a certain order, so that when you see them listed, you will know where to find them. Each specific dimension, has a unit of measure. Each dimension has a maximum and a minimum value determined by engineering considerations. Each dimension can be shown in up to 3 decimal points. You can select to show the unit of value after the dimension value or not. Some dimensions may not be able to be configured, so we would mark them accordingly. Finally, we mark standard or non-standard dimensions. Non-standard dimensions are still available to be used but will not appear in a list when you select dimensions to configure a product. Let's save this. So we've created and assigned our dimensions and the maximum and minimum values, unit of measure, and so on. Next, I'd like to discuss item lists. We have item lists to make it easier to select items in bills of material, especially items which are like options or used in configuring products, and they need to be selected. To make it easier to create these lists, we have groups of lists. And then within lists we have items. So let's go to the groups. We have 3 groups shown here, 3 list groups. And in these groups we have created item lists. So let's go to Options. So the option is a list group. In the factory chairs, that's its description. Its type here is given to further classify the group for selection purposes. You can have comments about the group. Okay, so if we go now into item lists, we can select a list here, and you can see that that list, list 1, has been created in the options group. If we want to create a new list, we simply select the group, options, and then create another list. I won't do it at this stage, we'll cancel out of that. But let's look at this opt list here. These are the items in it. If we want to add more items to the list, click Add Items to List. The yellow area contains all of the items in the item master file, and the blue area covers the items that have been put into opt list 1. There are a number of ways to add items to the list. Simply point to an item in the item master file, and that's already in it. Point to this item here and say Add to List. It's added it to the list. We've now got 4 items in the list. Another way is to tag items, and then those tagged items can be added to the list. You can remove items from the list just as easily, just point to the item and remove current item and so on. So that is how we add items to lists. Next, I'd like to cover the use of formula in bombs. For this purpose, I have created an item in the item master file. Go to item costs, item master, and we find the item which has been previously created. It's a table. It's a table std1. So this is a finished product table. It's made and its cost is $197.62. But let's go now and have a look at the bill of materials and how we've used formulae. Click on bill of materials and we'll see that that item has in it 3 components. It has a tabletop, it has legs, and it has trim. The trim is around the tabletop itself. Okay, let's now look at how these items have been created. We edit, and we now see that there is a formula that has been used to determine the quantity used. You'll notice that the quantity used is 4.5 and its unit of quantity is square meters. So this tabletop is expressed in square meters and there's 4.5 square meters required, and that's been determined by this formula here. Now to set up that formula in the first place, we click Edit Formula. Now here we see the basis of the formula are the dimensions. These are the dimensions of this particular end product. The table itself has a length of 3 meters, width of 1.5 and a thickness of 60 millimeters. To create the formula, we can enter the formula here using these operators, much similar to, but not exactly the same as formulae in Excel. You may need to use brackets from time to time. Once you've created a formula, it will be stored for future use. So if we go into existing formulas, we will see that this formula that we've used is sitting there. So in future, we don't have to recreate this formula. We can simply go into this list here and use it, so that that formula then comes from the list. So this saves reinventing the wheel every time. Let's have a look up here now. This is an area called the constants. Now constants refer to values which may be used in formulae. In this case we've got n stop 10. Now this means that 10 is an amount that needs to be set aside for n stops. So if there was an n stop involved in this particular formula, we would know that it was 10. So that's the only reason for having it here. The reason is that we can easily see what the constants are available for this product. There may be several. You can copy from other items, copy their constants, rather than having to create them as you go. We've got the absolute symbols here. Remember we had pi defined, and there it is there. So this is how we create a formula. Building conditional formulas, I won't go into at the moment, but all that means is that we can build a formula in here using an if clause. So if the length is greater than 4,000, say, the formula may be different to what it is if it's less than that. So I won't go into that at the moment. Suffice it to say that this is where we build the formulas or use pre-existing formulas. We click OK. This drags the formula back into here and the value along with it. If you want to get rid of the formula, you can simply delete it here and enter the quantity you want. So you don't have to use a formula, but using a formula makes a lot of sense because that formula then will apply to all or most dimensions selected for customers. So let's just go back, we'll edit the formula, and we'll find that formula that we want, which was for this particular item, it was the area 4.5. Okay, click OK, and we're back to that now. Click OK. We're back to our bill of materials, so we can see now that we're using this table top. There's its dimensions, and we need 4.5 square meters plus wastage, and we've got a cost per square meter of 11.6 and a total cost of 55.12. Thus, or the same thing applies to these other items. With legs, you can see over here, the formula appears over here. There was no formula for legs because that was pretty obvious, it needed 4 legs. The trim, the formula is different there. The trim, in fact, that formula is for the perimeter of the table. The length times 2 divided by 1,000, the width times 2 divided by 1,000 to give you the perimeter. So there we have it. That's the bill of materials formulae. And that ends this tutorial.